What's up, guys, and welcome back. We have another awesome new Switch 2 video here today with various topics and updates to cover, including Switch 2's revealed timing, release date, and launch games. But first, we'll dive into updates with Nvidia, since they are the primary vendor that has been rumored to be providing the Switch 2 GPU. And there is more to this that I want to cover in regards to the Switch 2's SoC and what my goals are for what I'm doing with this content here on this channel for both new subscribers and perhaps ones that have been following me since 2016. So if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button and subscribe as we move forward on what now seems like a fast path to the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, back in 2016, leading up to the announcement of the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo was very much in a bad state coming off the failed Wii U console, and they needed a big hit with the Nintendo Switch. And during the lead up to the reveal of the Switch, a big topic of tech discussion was which type of chip for graphics Nintendo was going to be using for their new console. And in the early days, many assumed it was going to be provided by AMD, since they also provided the graphics that powered the Wii U. So this led to a crazy amount of speculation videos by many people on YouTube, and of course myself here on this channel back in 2016, about what kind of AMD chip it could be. And then, about midway through 2016, it was reported by Eurogamer that Nintendo was going to be using Nvidia and the Tegra X1 processor for the Nintendo NX, which then became the Nintendo Switch. And then during that time, that's where the divide happened with this channel, with me choosing to not believe that report by them, Eurogamer, which was a big mistake of course, and choosing to then try to debunk that the NX was using an Nvidia chip up until it was confirmed that it was indeed using a Tegra X1 processor. The interesting thing was, though, looking back on those days almost 8 years ago, is that from a research standpoint, there's actually a ton of public information supporting that Nintendo could have been using an AMD chip back then in 2016. And basically there was hardly anything to find about Nvidia being involved. But of course Nvidia was indeed the vendor, and the reason why there was likely not much information to find on it was because the Switch ended up using a stock chip variant of the Tegra X1, which was released way back in 2015. So instead of making a custom chip for Nintendo, Nvidia designed the software API called NVN for the Switch that would get the best performance out of the console, which was a rather odd choice looking back on it. But from the info that came out later about the Nintendo and Nvidia partnership, it seems like Nvidia gave Nintendo an offer that they couldn't refuse, since they had a stockpile of Tegra X1 processors left over from Nvidia's own failed launch of the Nvidia Shield that never caught on to the masses. So thus the Nintendo Switch was born, and now we are in 2024, eagerly awaiting the reveal of the Switch 2, which has led to many Switch 2 videos across YouTube and of course from myself as well. Now for me though, the major difference from my coverage of Switch 2 is that I'm trying my best to not make the same mistakes I made in 2016 and learn from that experience, and at the same time attempting to be the most accurate and clear as possible when covering the Switch 2 reports and rumors. And trust me, I'm very much aware that some of my audience gets annoyed if I even hint at Switch 2 using something other than an Nvidia chip because of what happened in 2016. It makes sense. However, I want to be very clear here in this video, since my last video got a lot of attention, and some of it was due to me mentioning Nintendo possibly using a Samsung RDNA Exynos chip. But my goal here is not to try to dismiss or debunk Nintendo using one type of a chip versus another. My goal is to only present possibilities, since a lot has changed with Nintendo and Nvidia since 2017, and I actually got a chance to discuss this on the Nintendo Prime podcast from last week, since the question got brought up live and put directly to me. So I've edited my response down since it was a panel discussion, but please take a look and then we'll discuss.
This is for Super Mario Day 64. How certain are you with your Switch 2 AMD predictions compared to your old Switch 1 predictions?
I didn't make any.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I actually really annoyed by that, because I saw people giving you flack on Twitter about this. Like, wait, I saw his video. He brought up two possibilities.
Yeah, there's no prediction.
The difference is that I'm just being fair, and because what I brought out in my video is that they you guys should watch it. But the Nvidia partnership is not actually official. It was just something that Jensen said, that he was hoping that they would continue for 2 decades with Nintendo. And I said in my video that I actually want them to continue with Nvidia, but due to the uncertainty factor and there's questions behind this chip that's rumored for the Switch 2, that I'm going to go ahead and list another possible chip that could happen theoretically, but it's not like, I'm not saying it's like gonna happen for sure. It's just like there's other chips that can do similar things to that chip that's rumored, and here's a possible outcome, and that's it. I'm excited for whatever chip they use. It's all good. As long as it gets the job done. But I love talking tech on my channel. I love talking about the possibilities and speculation on stuff. And and that video has 31,000 views. I mean,
if nothing else, that video is showing, I think, growth from Dave from back in those early days of the Switch.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah, like Dave's already copped to the mistakes back then, and we all make mistakes. So like the important thing is when that opportunity comes back around again, which it now with new hardware, learn from it.
If I feel like I need to bring these things up as possibilities, just because it's a tech thing where people are you're looking to see what Nintendo's doing, and when things don't line up, I like to question what's going on. I wasn't like making things up, No,
right. You also didn't say you believe it's AMD, right? Like I saw people on social media saying, "Oh, Dave's talking about AMD again." Like, I don't know if I saw your video.
It's just a prior reputation thing from the Switch 1, and people just get annoyed he brought it up.
That was such a long
everyone's
time
been
ago.
saying Nvidia.
Well, that's probably why, by the way, guys, that's probably why no one wants to talk about anything else but Nvidia, even when there is legitimate questions to be raised because of me back in the day. They don't want to be labeled as someone who went against the Nvidia narrative. But I'm not doing that. I'm just talking about possibilities, and it's fair to do that. By the way, that's the mistake I made back in 2016 by not entertaining Nvidia. I went only with AMD. That was a big mistake. So by not entertaining anything else but Nvidia, I think is also a mistake, because you're putting yourself in a corner in case Nintendo changes their mind.
We're never 100% certain.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about possibilities. Like I
have a RTX 4090. Like Nvidia is by far the best choice. That's why whenever there's a new hardware released by any company, it's usually a case by case basis to see and shop around what vendor is making what fits their needs for that particular product. The bottom line is that in my video is that the actual performance range is what I'm most concerned about, not necessarily
which company is the tech behind it. Yeah,
that's not important necessarily. I like to discuss the possibilities. That's why I brought it up of what chip it could possibly be. But the most important thing that we got to worry about as fans of Nintendo and consumers is what its actual performance is for the games. So there you have it. And to be clear, listing some possible chips along with the rumored Nvidia T239 chip is more about me trying to cover my bases in terms of tech possibilities for Nintendo, since I'd be kicking myself if I didn't bring up other chips if for some reason Nintendo decided to withdraw from using Nvidia for Switch 2, but it's not because I want some other chip over what Nvidia could provide. It's more about me just trying to be as thorough as possible. So basically, if Nintendo confirms that they are using Nvidia for Switch 2, no, that doesn't mean that I was wrong or something with these videos that I'm doing now, since every step of the way, I've still maintained that it probably could very well be Nvidia based for Switch 2, which would really be a great thing since Nvidia factually provides the best possible GPUs around. It's only because that there has been some odd discrepancies and questions along the way that have come up, and if I don't talk about them, I simply don't feel I'd be doing the best or the most honest reporting possible on the Switch 2. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys and we are on the same page about that. So that brings us back to Nvidia and Nintendo for Switch 2. What exactly has changed for Nintendo and Nvidia since 2017, you may ask? Well, for Nintendo, the Switch has sold close to 140 million consoles or so, but it's also seen a big rise in smaller competition in terms of tech with the Steam Deck and Iron Neo, which have shown just how outdated the Switch OG really is at this point. and all Nintendo's mainline heavy hitter first party games have already been released on the Switch and is coming to the end of its life cycle. Nvidia, on the other hand, they have seen a massive change as well, and I'll show you an example here for their AI data center revenue, which they provide for many vendors worldwide for the past 7 years. Nvidia went from making around $800 million a year from AI and data centers all the way to $15 billion as of January 2023, and most recent reports are even more crazy for them. They made over $14 billion in revenue just in Q3 of last year, 2023, which was a near 300% increase of revenue for Nvidia. Nvidia's data center now dwarfs their gaming sector in how much money they make, and according to Nvidia's own plans, they are going to be doubling down on AI and data center tech investments moving forward, which is a big difference if you go back to what Nvidia was trying to do with gaming when the Switch came out. And the company has really shifted its focus on AI, especially in the last couple of years. Now, taking that into consideration, also when you look at all these portable PC devices, none of them are using any Nvidia based chips. So with Nvidia having no device being used in the portable market currently, anything being used for Nintendo or Switch 2 at this point would need to be totally built and customized from the ground up just to be used for Nintendo and no other devices, which from Nvidia's own history is not something they generally do. They usually sell their chips out to multiple vendors, and with Nvidia's push for AI and data centers, you have to ask now in 2024, just how much does Nvidia really want to be in the home gaming market if it's just with Nintendo? I think that's a fair question, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Now, I'm excited to see what GPU is powering Switch 2 since, wow, can you imagine a totally customized Nvidia SoC built from the ground up just for the Switch 2. That would likely be an insanely impressive and unique GPU or SoC at the same time with full DLSS support, ray tracing, and getting all the latest ports from AAA third party. It would truly be awesome. However, at the same time, as great as that sounds, that's why I had to bring up the other possible choice in my last video with Samsung Exynos, since we know Nintendo likes getting really good deals on their chips. And if Nvidia wanted to charge too much money perhaps during their talks, since a totally custom chip would likely be very expensive, I could see Samsung possibly offering that Exynos variant and telling Nintendo, hey, we'll give you this for a lot cheaper because it's already designed for mobile. There are a lot of factors involved in picking a chip for a new console, and price is a big one. There was also a report by Eurogamer regarding this very thing with Xbox and their partnership with AMD. And according to the report, Microsoft was actually shopping around different vendors for their next Xbox console, including with Intel Arc and Nvidia of all people, right? But they did end up deciding on AMD in the end in a contract according to the report. So as we brought out before, these contracts are usually a case-by-case basis, and we just won't know for Nintendo until the Switch 2 is revealed or soon after what they finally decided. But either way, it's a very exciting time, and as long as the Switch 2 gives the performance needed to get new games and run impressive first-party next-gen games, I'm 100% sure all of us will be happy with whatever GPU or SoC Nintendo decides to use. So next, talking about next-gen and games, how about the release date and launch games for Switch 2? Now, I honestly think Nintendo will announce Switch 2 in the March timeframe of this year, perhaps second half of March, right before the end of the fiscal year, to give their year-end fiscal year stock investors a big push and to start the new fiscal year with a bang, but also because they have to get the marketing and pre-orders going for Switch 2. I did see that rumor from Nintendo Prime that he claims his GameStop contacts informed him that Switch 2 could be announced at any time basically from now to March. But regardless of that, and I've been saying the March range for a while now, but more so due to the fall and holiday schedules. If Nintendo announces in March and releases in late October, they give everyone a chance to purchase Switch 2 with a first-party game at launch, and then in November, they can give these big AAA third-party games their time to shine, since remember, Xbox and Activision Blizzard have a deal with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo's next system, basically the Switch 2, as feature complete and day and date. So if Switch 2 is releasing this year, then you have to think they're getting Call of Duty day and date, and usually Call of Duty releases in November time range, so it's just a guess on my part, but I think actually for the Switch 2 release, a late October launch would be the best choice. Now, another game I think is coming to Switch 2 at launch is Final Fantasy VII Remake and its DLC Integrate. And I know this was rumored last year for Switch 2, and we've heard various others chime in, some that think Final Fantasy VII Remake is not happening and some that do. But either way, I'll go ahead and make my prediction now, like just for fun, and say that I think Final Fantasy VII Remake and its DLC expansion will be at least a launch window game for Switch 2, since they already released it on PC, and Nintendo's audience would eat that game up big time, you just know it. And then to follow that up, sometime in 2025, I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will then also come to the Switch 2 as well. It's all about how much money that Square Enix can make, and I think they know it would sell really, really well on Nintendo consoles. Other launch window games that are likely is a new 3D Mario game and of course Metroid Prime 4, but we'll discuss more on Prime 4 in a dedicated video like we usually do. But yeah, I think Switch 2 is launching this year for $399 with a massive fall 2024 marketing push by Nintendo, and we'll be playing next-gen Nintendo games by the end of the year. The excitement for Switch 2 is getting big, guys. Get ready and start saving your money now because it's going to be a crazy, crazy year. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and please let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.